16.3 New Media, the Self, and Relationships. Learning objectives. Discuss the relationship between new media and the self. Identify positive and negative impacts of new media on our interpersonal relationships. Think about some ways that new media have changed the way you think about yourself and the way you think about and interact in your relationships. Have you ever given Facebook page a once over before you send or accept a friend request, just to make sure that the content displayed is giving off the desired impression? The technological changes of the past 20 years have affected you and your relationships, whether you are a heavy user or not. Even people who don't engage with technology as much as others are still affected by it, since the people they interact with use and are affected by new media to varying degrees. Heading: New Media and the Self. The explicit way we become conscious of self-presentation when using new media, social networking sites, SNSs in particular, may lead to an impression, or rather an increase in self-consciousness. You'll recall that in the chapter titled Introduction to Communication Studies, we talked about the role that communication plays in helping us meet our identity needs, and in the chapter titled Communication and Perception on Facebook, the pictures we are tagged in, and the news stories or jokes that we share on our timeline, all come together to create a database of information that new and old friends can access to form and reform impressions of us. Because we know that others are making impressions based on this database of information, and because we have control over most of what appears in this database, people may become over-focused on crafting their online presence to the point that they neglect their offline relationships. This extra level of self-consciousness has also manifested in an increase in self-image and self-esteem issues for some users. For example, some cosmetic surgeons have noted an uptick in patients coming in to have facial surgeries or procedures specifically because they don't like the way their chin looks on the webcam while chatting on Skype, or because they feel self-conscious about the way they look in the numerous digital pictures that are now passed around and stored in new media. Since new media are being increasingly used in professional capacities, some people are also seeking cosmetic surgery or procedures as a way of investing in their personal brand, or as a way of giving them an edge in a tight job market. The personal and social nature of new media also creates an openness that isn't necessarily part of an offline social reality. Although some people try to address this problem by creating more than one Facebook account, according to the terms of use we all agreed to, we are not allowed to create more than one personal profile. People may also have difficulty managing their different commitments, especially if they develop a dependence on or even addiction to new media devices and/or platforms. New media blur the lines between personal and professional in many ways, which can be positive and negative. For example, the constant connection offered by laptops and smartphones increases the expectation that people will continue working from home or while on vacation. At the same time, however, people may use new media for non-work related purposes while at work, which may even help out the work-life balance. Cyber slacking, which is the non-work related use of new media while on the job, is seen as a problem in many organizations and workplaces. However, some research shows that occasional use of new media for personal reasons while at work can have positive effects, as it may relieve boredom, help reduce stress, or lead to greater job satisfaction. Personal media devices bring with them a sense of constant connectivity that makes us reachable nearly all the time and can be comforting or anxiety-inducing. Devices such as smartphones and computers and platforms such as email, Facebook, and the web are within an arm's reach of many people. While this can be convenient and make things more efficient in some cases, it can also create a dependence that we might not be aware of until those connections are broken or become unreliable. You don't have to look too far to see people buried in their smartphones, tablets, and laptops all around. While some people have learned to rely on peripheral vision in order to text and walk at the same time, others aren't so graceful. In fact, London saw the creation of a text-safe street, with padding on street signs and lampposts to help prevent injuries when people inevitably bump into them while engrossed in their gadgets' screens. Follow this link to read a story in Time magazine and see a picture of the street. Additionally, a survey conducted in the United Kingdom found that being away from social networks causes more anxiety than being a user of them. Another study found that 73% of people would panic if they lost their smartphone. Of course, social media can also increase self-esteem or have other social benefits. A recent survey of 15,000 women found that 48% of the respondents felt that social media helped them stay in touch with others, while also adding a little stress in terms of overstimulation. 42% didn't mention the stress of overstimulation and focused more on the positive effects of being in touch with others and the world in general. When asked about how social media affects their social lives, 30% of women felt that increased use of social media helped them be more social offline as well. Other research supports this finding for both genders, finding that Facebook can help people with social anxiety feel more confident and socially connected. Heading: New media and interpersonal relationships. How do new media affect our interpersonal relationships, if at all? This is a question that has been addressed by scholars, commentators, and people in general. To provide some perspective, similar questions and concerns have been raised along with each major change in communication technology. New media, however, have been the primary communication change of the past few generations, which likely accounts for the attention they receive. Some scholars in sociology have decried the negative effects of new technology on society and relationships in particular, saying that the quality of relationships is deteriorating and the strength of connections is weakening. Facebook greatly influenced our use of the word friend, although people's conceptions of the word may not have changed as much. When someone friends you on Facebook, it doesn't automatically mean that you are now have the closeness and intimacy that you have had with some offline friends. And research shows that people don't regularly accept friend requests from or send them to people they haven't met, preferring instead to have met a person at least once. Some users, though especially adolescents, engage in what is called friend collecting behavior, which entails users friending people they don't know personally, or that they wouldn't talk to in person in order to increase the size of their online network. As we will discuss later, this could be an impression management strategy, as the user may assume that a large number of Facebook friends will make him or her appear more popular to others. Although many have critiqued the watering down of the term friend when applied to SNSs, specifically Facebook, some scholars have explored how the creation of these networks affects our interpersonal relationships and may even restructure how we think about our relationships. Even though a person may have hundreds of Facebook friends that he or she doesn't regularly interact with, on or offline, just knowing that the network exists in a somewhat tangible form, for example, cataloged on Facebook, can be comforting. Even the people who are distant acquaintances but are friends on Facebook can serve important functions. Rather than Facebook users seeing these connections as pointless, frivolous, or stressful, they are often comforting background presences. A dormant network is a network of people with whom users may not feel obligated to explicitly interact, but may find comfort in knowing the connections exist. Such networks can be beneficial because when needed, a person may be able to more easily tap into that dormant network than they would on an offline extended network. It's almost like being friends on Facebook keeps the communication line open because both people can view the other's profile and keep up with their lives, even without directly communicating. This can help sustain tenuous friendships or past friendships and prevent them from fading away, which, as we learned in the chapter titled Communication and Relationships, is a common occurrence as we go through various life stages. A key part of interpersonal communication is impression management, and some forms of new media allow us more tools for presenting ourselves than others. Social networking sites, SNSs, in many ways are platforms for self-presentation. Even more than blogs, web pages, and smartphones, the environment on an SNS like Facebook or Twitter facilitates self-disclosure in a directed way and allows others who have access to our profile to see our other friends. This convergence of different groups of people, close friends, family, acquaintances, friends of families, colleagues, and strangers, can present challenges for self-presentation. Although Facebook is often thought of as a social media outlet for teens and young adults, research shows half of all U.S. adults have a profile on Facebook or another SNS. The fact that Facebook is expanding to different generations of users has coined a new phrase, the graying of Facebook. This is due to a large increase in the users over the age of 55. In fact, it has been stated the fastest growing Facebook user group is women 55 and older, which is up more than 175% since the fall of 2008. So now we likely have people from personal, professional, and academic contexts in our Facebook network. And those people are now more likely than ever to be from a multiple generation family. The growing diversity of our social media networks creates new challenges as we try to engage in impression management. We should be aware that people form impressions of us based not just on what we post on our profiles, but also on our friends and the content that they post on our profiles. In short, as in our offline lives, we are judged online by the company we keep. The difference is, though, that via Facebook, a person, unless blocked or limited by privacy settings, can see our entire online social network and friends, which doesn't happen offline. The information on our Facebook profiles is also archived, meaning there is a record of the likes of which doesn't exist in offline interactions. Recent research found that a person's perception of a profile owner's attractiveness is influenced by the attractiveness of the friends shown on profile. In short, a profile owner is judged more physically attractive when his or her friends are judged as physically attractive, and vice versa. The profile owner is also judged as more socially attractive, likable, friendly, when his or her friends are judged as physically attractive. The study also found that complimentary and friendly statements made about profile owners on their wall or on profile comments increases perceptions of the profile's owner's social attractiveness and credibility. An interesting but not surprising gender double standard also emerged. When statements containing sexual remarks or references to the profile owner's excessive drinking were posted on the profile, perceptions of attractiveness increased if the profile owner was male and decreased if female. Self-disclosure is a fundamental building block of interpersonal relationships, and new media makes self-disclosures easier for many people because of the lack of immediacy, meaning the fact that a message is sent through electronic means arouses less anxiety or inhibition than would a face-to-face exchange. SNSs provide the opportunity for social support. Research has found that Facebook communication behaviors, such as friending someone or responding to a request posting on someone's wall, lead people to feel a sense of attachment and perceive that others are reliable and helpful. Much of the research on Facebook, though, has focused on the less intimate alliances that we maintain through social media. Since most people maintain offline contact with their close friends and family, Facebook is more of a supplement to interpersonal communication. Since most people's Facebook friend networks are composed primarily of people with whom they have less face-to-face contact in their daily lives, Facebook provides an alternative space for interaction that can more easily fit into a person's busy schedule, interest area. For example, to stay connected, both people don't have to look at each other's profiles simultaneously. I often catch up on a friend by scrolling through a couple weeks of timeline posts rather than checking in daily. The space provided by SNSs can also help reduce some of the stress we feel in regards to relational maintenance or staying in touch by allowing for more convenient contact. The expectations for regular contact with our Facebook friends who are in an extended network are minimal. An occasional comment on a photo or status update, or an even easier click on the like button can help maintain those relationships. However, when we post something asking for information, help, social support, or advice, those in the extended network may play a more important role and allow us to access resources and viewpoints beyond those in our closer circles. And research shows that many people ask for informational help through their status updates. These extended networks serve important purposes, one of which is to provide access to new information and different perspectives than those we may get from close friends and family. For example, since we tend to have significant others that are more similar to than different from us, the people that we are closest to are likely to share most of our beliefs, attitudes, and values. Extended contacts, however, may expose us to different political views or new sources of information, which can help broaden our perspectives. The content in this section hopefully captures what I'm sure you have already experienced in your own engagement with new media. That new media have important implications for our interpersonal relationships. Given that, we will end this chapter with a Getting Competent feature box that discusses some tips on how to competently use social media.